Hello everyone, I hope you are doing good. So, we are here for our practice article reading. So, we will start uh, Netflix, Warner, and Bollywood. This article written by Sri Vivek Agnihotri, who is a filmmaker. The age of Walmart storytelling and the arrival of cultural desert. A filmmaker's warning on the Netflix Warner merger and the future of Indian storytelling. Cinema is being reduced to theme park. Martin Scorsese. The Netflix and Warner Bros. Merger is not a business headline. It is a seismic event, a cultural tectonic shift. So yeah, he is using some word which is like it is it is showing the danger behind this current situation in cinema industry, filmmaking industry, or like a continental rearrangement that will redraw the creative map for decades. And while the epicenter may lie in Los Angeles boardrooms, the termers will travel far. They will move through the editing rooms of Mumbai, the sound stage of Hyderabad, the writer's room of Chennai, the independent collectives of Kochi, the film schools of Pune, every Indian city where storytelling still attempts to live with dignity. Wall Street is jubilant. $82 billion, two mighty entertainment empire combined under one roof. Analysts clap for efficiency and scale. Shareholders celebrate consolidation, but creators, if they listen carefully, will hear something else. A lock turning, a corridor narrowing, a quiet reduction of creative space. We once believed platform would democratize storytelling. Now the democratize are turning into monarchies. Crowns made of server farms, thrones built to subscriber data. When two giants merge, every smaller creature feels the weight. Every tyranny must begin with destroying diversity. So he's concerning about the current merger, as in the news we have listened about Netflix trying to purchase Warner. So let's see what is happening next. Once upon a time, Warner Bros. And Netflix were not only competitor but two very different creative universe. Warner carried the legacy of a century of cinema culture. It valued theoretical windows, patience, storytelling, unions, craft, and long arc of a director's vision. Netflix valued speed, scale, data, worldwide presence, and the promise of frictionless global dominance. These two very different editorials instincts will now be crushed together until they resemble one uniform corporate culture, one strategy, one incentive structure, one ultimate goal, which is shareholder growth. For filmmakers, that means fewer doors to knock on and fewer unique editorial vision to engage with. It means one consolidated test masquerading as global test. It means the thinning of the creative ecosystem. Diversity thrives when many buyers with different sensibilities exist. A forest survives because it contains many species. A super tree block the sun. Merger like this do not grow forest, they burn them. The new giant we are witnessing is not simply large, it is unprecedented in cultural mass. It is equivalent to one company controlling every major river in a country. The water still flows, but now it carries the company logo. It is a ration according to quarterly expectation. It no longer nourishes a thousand crops, it supports a single industrial plantation. This is not only an economic tragedy, it is a civilizational one. because when global corporations optimize for universality, they are not expanding cultural boundaries, they are compressing them. Playing to the global common denominator means reducing complexity, shaving texture, simplifying nuances. It creates the fast food of storytelling, simple, predictable, engineered to satisfy the widest possible audience while nourishing none. This is how monoculture are created, and monocultures in agriculture or in cinema eventually create a desert. Every industry that became too large to fail eventually become too large to care. The new bar is not excellence but dominance. To control people's culture is to control their tools of self definition. Earlier, a story needed heart, courage, novelty, authenticity. Now it requires something else, proof of scale, because Netflix has not merged with a studio. It has observed a cultural content. If you pitch a film today, you are not competing with your peers, you are competing with Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, DC, Succession, House of the Dragon, Wednesday, Bridgerton, and the entire HBO lineage of prestige. This is not a ladder, it is a cliff. For Indian creators, this cliff becomes a chasm. A mid-budget Gujarati drama, a Bengali political story, Malayalam family chronicle, Marathi social portrait, a Ladakhi ecological film. These do not merely look like risky venture, they look mathematically impossible, because when one company owns every tent pole, it stops needing a small tent. We are entering the age of Walmart storytelling, a global bargain bin of predictable plots and algorithm tested tropes. One size fits all content, inventory based creativity, stories designed for quantity rather than soul. Monopolies do not silence creativity through censorship, they silence it through sameness. The shrinking of India's creative soul. Amazon didn't beat publisher, it made publishers dependent. Franklin for India should be the loudest voice of concern because we have the most to lose. Our civilization invented in Natya Shastra, our ancestor mastered Baithak storytelling, where a single voice could hold court for hours. We produced epics of staggering scale and philosophies of staggering depth. We create thousands of oral traditions and hundreds of narratives forms. Yet today, this same civilization exports little more than song and dance caricatures to the world. And after nearly a decade in India, Netflix has not produced even one original series that present India in its civilizational fullness. Not one show that carries the sweep of our math, the eccentricity of our daily life, the spiritual anxieties of our culture, or the philosophical restlessness that define us. Instead, we receive urban nihilism, crime shows witnessed youth drama, and generic narratives wearing an Indian mask. Ask yourself, name one Netflix India show you could identify as Indian even with the sound turned off. You will not find one. As Coca-Cola replaced Nimbu Pani, American Worms have replaced our platter of stories. The East India Company of storytelling. The East India Company was the first great multinational corporation and first to show how commerce can become conquest. William Dalrymple. Today, almost all major Indian content is owned or controlled by three American giants: Netflix, Amazon, Destiny with Hulu, and Sony. We call this globalization. I call this company Raj in a new avatar. If tomorrow this platform shift priorities to or pull the plug, India will find itself culturally stranded, a civilization with stories but no sovereignty. Why did this happen? Because we never built our own global storytelling platform, not because we lacked talent or technology, but because of laziness disguised as comfort, short sighted thinking among our media barons, and a chronic inability to imagine scale. Governments invested in digital highways but not in cultural industries that travel on those highways. We built the road, we handed over the market stalls to foreigners, then we upload ourselves for smooth traffic. The result is a nation that can reach Mars, cannot build a global storytelling platform. History has one warning us for centuries. When our giants enters, a thousand small shops disappear. When Monsanto consolidated seed companies through thousands of indigenous varieties disappeared. When Walmart entered American towns, entire community culture vanished even with the economy survived. When telecoms giant consolidated, data become cheap but control become centralized. When music label merged, song structure worldwide began to sound the same. Cinema is walking into the same trap. One old village fable describes our situation perfectly. A common a community once had many pounds, each pound had a unique taste. One sweet, one earthy, one cold like mountain rain. In the name of efficiency, the rulers merged the ponds into a one large lake. The water supply increased, the taste disappeared, the people had water but the lost memory. This merger is that lake. We, the filmmakers, are the flowers flavors lost flavors. Authenticity has turned into syrup, cultural depth into essence, local uniqueness into category tags. The deeper creative crisis: when the studio owned everything, creativity became a factory line. Martin Scorsese. When the buyer pool shrinks, every storyteller shrinks with it. Filmmaker negotiate from weakness, writer negotiate from invisibility, actor negotiate from dispersion, cultures negotiate from irrelevance. This is how creative empires collapse, not through oppression but through conformity. Conformity kills the imagination of a society long before censorship arrive. Meanwhile, other shift is taking place. The truth is that audience go to theaters when the movies deserve the trip. When films lack depth, they turn into background noise at home. Theatrical decline is not the victory of streaming, but the failures of films do to matter. During the pandemic, multiplex audience bought 75-inch television while single screen audience simply moved into multiplexes. Multiplexes become the new single screen and the content followed. No wonder the biggest Indian hits last year were ghost stories. Audience are lost, filmmakers are lost, platforms are lost. In this confusion, the algorithm becomes king. The algorithm does not reward culture, it rewards addictions, it rewards repetition, it rewards numbness, and slowly all nuances dissolve. This is not entertainment anymore, this is arrival of a uniform, flattened, standardized world where difference become noise. It is a form of capitalized dictatorship. A filmmaker responsibility is the in the age of cultural desert. When you control seed, you control life. Vandana Shiva. As someone who has lived through five waves of Indian film history, from single screen to multiplexes, from celluloid to digital, from DVDs to streamers, I can say this without hesitation. This is not a business update, this is a cultural realignment, and creators who do not understand the shift will be swallowed by it. I am against this merger because history teaches us that culture is not commodity to be consolidated without consequences. If we love cinema, we must love its messy plurality. We must build institutions that keep our stories in our hands, We must insist on creative sovereignty. The fight is not only for money or job, it is for imagination, for right of future storytelling to speak in their idioms and to be paid for those voices. If we do nothing, our films will travel the world, but they will arrive algorithmized, sterilized, barcoded, and owned. I would rather fight for a smaller, plural world of cinema than live in a global monocultural that prints the same story in thousand languages. Václav Havel once wrote that the tragedy is not the people are oppressed, but that they slowly cease to care. Let us not cease to care, not now, not when the stakes are this high. And so we stand at at the edge of moment that will decide the fate of storytellers for decades. If we say nothing, the age of creative Walmart will begin. Stories will become product. Local culture will become branding asset. The vast unpredictable flora and fauna of human imagination will be bulldozed into a parking lot for a global franchises. But if we resist intellectually, politically, creatively, we might yet preserve something sacred, the right of every society to tell its own stories in its own language, from its own soul. The world does not need more content, it needs more culture, and culture do not grow in factories, they grow in freedom. Vivek Ranjan is an Indian filmmaker, writer, public thinker. He worked explore history, memory, and human search for meaning in modern life. So he is the writer of this story. So wonderful article. Thank you. Have a nice day.